So after a few years without a lot of horror movies having theatrical releases, 2023 finally looks like there will be some good ones. Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be covering some of the most anticipated horror movies for the rest of 2023. Well, I mean, let's be real here, my most anticipated ones. One of the reasons I'm making this video is because occasionally I will include clips from trailers that got me excited, and people always ask, hey, what's the name of that movie? So, here you go. One movie that's just around the corner that I can't wait for is Evil Dead Rise.
Open up now.
You don't look so good, Mom.
I feel like this scene will be an iconic horror movie moment for a long time, at least I hope so. Every time I'm in a theater and this moment happens, there's always almost like a shock reaction from the audience. But it's not just that this movie looks great. In case you didn't know, Evil Dead Rise was initially supposed to be pushed directly onto streaming services, HBO Max to be more specific, but it's apparently so good that it warranted a full theatrical release. And judging by the amount of trailers I've seen for this thing, which is a crap ton, it seems like the studio is sure that this one will be a success. What we know about the movie so far is that it takes place in a Los Angeles apartment building. This setting is of course night and day from what we've come to expect from the Evil Dead movies. Usually they take place in a lonely cabin in the middle of the woods somewhere, so it's interesting that we're now in a much more relatable and also realistic setting. The story is about two estranged sisters, and one of them is seemingly possessed by the demons that are set free by the old nasty book. By the way, another reason why my hopes are high here is because this franchise already had a reboot back in 2013. Oh man, that poster gives me nostalgia. I used to walk into the movie theater and see this exact poster, and I really wanted to watch it, but I wasn't nearly old enough yet. Anyways, the reboot was actually really good. Insanely brutal, which this new one will follow, but very good nonetheless. So let's hope that history repeats itself with the Evil Dead franchise. According to the new director, Evil Dead Rise will have a different tone from the previous movies, and will focus more on the relationship between the two sisters and their journey to overcome their differences and work together to survive. By the way, there's also an Evil Dead game. Just saw that. I mean, I'm not buying it, I don't know, I just thought it might be relevant here. Also, the early reviews of this one look quite promising so far. Yes, I know early reviews are not at all indicative of what the final movie will actually be like, but hey, I can hope that it's the case for this one. Another upcoming film that so far looks really interesting is Boogeyman. It's a Stephen King adaptation, which the last few that I've seen, mainly It and Gerald's Game, have all been very good. Of course, there are also some misses, but I choose to focus on the positives. The director of this one is Rob Savage, who you might remember from Host, which was generally well received. This seems to be his first really cinematic feature-length movie. Since this one is based on a Stephen King story, we already have a lot more information on what it will be about. Now, I will not read it because I can't read, no, but because I want to be surprised by what I see. However, the basic plot details are this. High school student Sadie Harper and her younger sister Sawyer are still reeling from the recent death of their mother. They're not getting much support from their father, Will, a therapist who's dealing with his own intense pain. When a desperate patient unexpectedly shows up at their house seeking help, he leaves behind a terrifying supernatural entity. From the trailer, we can already see that there will be a lot of darkness and shadows, which is something that can be really effective when done right. The story deals with the traditional childhood fears that we're all probably familiar with, and might include a psychological element as well. The next movie on this list is something that I've been waiting for such a long time, and that is Insidious 5. The first Insidious was such an amazing horror movie at the time when it came out. It was like the quintessential horror experience, and I know there will be some people who disagree with me on this, but back when it came out, it was sort of like the benchmark for other horror movies for me and my friends. I think the franchise is probably most well known for its crazy loud jump scares, which are not as well liked now, but at least they were always executed well, and the movie didn't have any fake jump scares. You know, like there's a loud noise, but then it's just a cat or their idiot friend or something like that. Insidious never did that. One of the reasons this movie came about is because of the unexpected success of the fourth movie, Insidious: The Last Key. Everybody thought this one would be a piece of trash, but then it actually did alright. In this new movie, Patrick Wilson will return as the role he was born to play, the dad in every horror movie. But we will also see Ty Simpkins again, who I last saw in The Whale. This new movie will be called Insidious: Fear the Dark, and the lipstick-faced demon will also return. Surprisingly though, this movie will not be directed by James Wan. He directed the first and second Insidious, and the franchise was created by him and Lee Winnell. This one will be directed by Patrick Wilson himself, so I'm not sure if that means that he only plays a smaller role compared to the previous movies, or if he'll be leading and directing, which would be really ambitious. But what will the movie be about? Well, so far we know this much. Set 10 years after the end of Insidious 2, Josh Lambert heads east to drop his son Dalton off at an idyllic, ivy-covered university. However, Dalton's college dream becomes a nightmare when the repressed demons of his past suddenly return to haunt them both. Next up is a movie that is the closest one to coming out, and that is The Pope's Exorcist. I haven't personally seen Russell Crowe in a lot of stuff lately, so I'm excited to see him again.
Oh my god, it's Russell Crowe! Oh my god, it's Russell Crowe! Oh my god! Why don't you mind your own business, you scrouter?
Exorcism movies can be really creepy if done correctly. The last one that I saw was Talk to Me, which I really liked. So needless to say, I really want to see what this Oscar-winning actor will do with a possession movie. Here's what we know so far about the story. Inspired by the actual files of Father Gabriel Amorth, chief exorcist of the Vatican, The Pope's Exorcist follows Amorth as he investigates a young boy's terrifying possession and ends up uncovering a centuries-old conspiracy the Vatican has desperately tried to keep hidden. Now, I don't know about the accuracy about these so-called based on a true story movies. I'm not guaranteeing the accuracy of any of these events, but it almost sounds a little bit like The Conjuring. It also sounds a little bit like The Nun, which might not be a bad thing here. The locations, the atmosphere, and general setting with the big old castle was actually pretty cool, and it looks like this movie will have some of those elements as well. Finally, we have a fun one to look forward to, and that is Renfield. Nick Cage being Nick Cage and Nicholas Hoult from The Menu? This one looks like it will just be a really fun ride with some scary moments along the way. Nick Cage is another actor that looks like he's been making a bit of a comeback lately. I remember that there were times when Nick Cage was in seemingly every single new movie that came out, and then all of a sudden, nothing. Granted, he has been appearing in a few other movies throughout the years, but from what I remember, nothing major. So could this be his big return? Anyway, the plot of this one goes a little like this. Renfield, the tortured aide of his narcissistic boss Dracula, is forced to procure his master's prey and do his every bidding. However, after centuries of servitude, he's ready to see if there's a life outside of the shadow of the Prince of Darkness. As some other people have pointed out, we already have seen Nick Cage as a vampire before.
K-L-M-N-O-P, Q-R-S-T-U-V-W-X-Y-Z! Huh?
But not like this. This story will be a spin-off of the original Dracula story, where Renfield is apparently a minor character. He's like a patient in an asylum who eats like insects and rats and shit to acquire their life force. This one looks like the only one on this list that isn't intended to be poop your pants scary, but instead more of an action comedy with horror elements, I think. Oh, and by the way, this list isn't in any particular order. It's not like I'm necessarily more excited by the second one than the fourth one or anything like that. I think doing that would be kind of unfair because you can't judge the quality of a movie based on the movie trailers. Also, this list is obviously biased as hell, and I can only include trailers that I've actually seen. But if I missed anything, make sure to let me know. Anyways, I hope you guys liked it, and that I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.